I know we've talked about Barry Ferguson a lot. 1967 says, just for the record, as you are obviously trying to keep it a secret, that's 6 games now since Rangers' last victory, and Barry's been in charge for 12 games and won 4. And someone else, I'm struggling to find it though, he says, it was Marzuno actually, Ferguson yet to win a game at Ibrox.
Yeah, that'll be weighing heavily on him.
I mean, he said after the game, Barry Ferguson, he thinks he's the man, he can do the job.
I found that interesting.
Aye.
And I found it interesting because it seems to be a sort of shift in his approach, his mentality. And I think it coincides with, he met with Kevin Thelwell last week. They've obviously had a very long conversation, and I find it interesting that the mood music appears to have shifted. And he's talking in far more, he's not putting his hands in there saying, give me a job. But he certainly, it was only a few weeks ago where he didn't really consider himself to be in the mix. I think it was after Hibs had won at Ibrox, I think. He didn't see himself as being considered as a candidate. I just feel, I might be completely wrong, but just got a hunch that something might have been said over the last wee while that's sort of perked his attention. And I keep coming back to it. Whether or not he gets the job, one thing is absolutely clear. Rangers are miles behind in terms of planning for next season. So, with every day that passes, it becomes more, I think, realistic that they're forced to go with Barry Ferguson because they really need to start making assessments of the players that are inside that squad just now, making assessments on who to keep, who to lose. I think there'll be more in the lose box than in the keep box.
You'll be struggling to keep a lot of them.
Yep. And decisions like the Raskin thing that we were talking about. There are so many things that Rangers need to plan, and the planning should have begun, if not in January, then maybe even last summer. But they're now critically behind the 8 ball. So something needs to happen. It'll need to happen soon. There needs to be some sort of clarity. And you would expect maybe now that particular game, that fixture is out the road, maybe Rangers will address it.
Mick, do you think that was Barry Ferguson's last Old Firm match as a Rangers manager?
I suspect so. I suspect the new regime will want to come in and appoint their own man straight away. And it's an easy PR win, isn't it, to roll out a new manager? I think, listen, I mean, Barry Ferguson walked into a shambles, and we knew at the time it was going to find it hard going because this team has kept going the same way, really. I mean, they've raised it for some bigger games and been hopeless in other ones. That's 7 games at Ibrox without a win. As you say, 4 wins in 12. Again, but Fenerbahce result away from home, Celtic away from home. Again, today was okay. But nothing's really changed. These results could have happened under Philip Clement because the same squad's there. And the same faults that are there. They can play in certain games because they're more open and they can play in the counter, but it's no use for Scotland. But I just think that the new owners, it's more questions for them. They have to get this done and answer these questions. I think I said it in this programme before, the first guy in the job has got a really tough task. And whether it's Barry or somebody else, it's the first year is going to be a rebuild year, and it might not be pretty. I mean, listen, this is what Philip Clement was saying a year ago. Despite having gone close in the league, he was saying, "Oh, this is a rebuild." And well, wait a minute, you've had 5 months already to rebuild, but he wanted more. Whereas this next guy came in as a proper rebuild, almost from scratch. New owners has to get some of these top earners at Ibrox off the books. Not going to be easy that either.
I think the big difference is, Mick, the big difference is that, Philip Clement could, cry rebuild all it, but it was his players, they were his signings. Yeah, Barry Ferguson hasn't been able to put his own fingerprints on this squad. He's having to deal with a group of players that Clement had assembled that quite clearly weren't good enough. Listen, and making judgments on their character. Are they big enough characters to live in the Old Firm environment, to thrive on it? All these things. And that's why it would have been fascinating to be a fly in the wall when Barry Ferguson met Kevin Thelwell, because I would imagine they would have been speaking about exactly those requirements. No. And what is this mystery X factor that clearly the Rangers recruitment department can identify. and Clement couldn't identify it before him. Does Kevin Thelwell leave that meeting with Barry Ferguson thinking he's got a good idea? He's got an idea of what this squad needs. Don't know. It'll be interesting.
We're actually joined now from Ibrox by the one and only Andy Newport. Andy, we're just debating Barry Ferguson's future. Do you think that's his last game as interim manager today against Celtic?
I'm not sure. Things stand. I think he's due to see out the last 3 games.
Sorry, I meant against Celtic. I didn't phrase that correctly.
I mean, obviously, I've just come from the press conference with him there, and I'm not sure if you've seen the lines yet, but basically, I mean, he's encouraging the new owners to get a agility on, basically, and get a move on, and let him know if he's going to be the man to lead the club forward. Or just on the fact that time is already sort of quickly marching towards the new season, and obviously you've got a fortnight left of this season, but as things stand, with Rangers due to be entering the Champions League qualifiers in the second rounds, that means they're back in action the 20th of July. You know, that means they're going to have to start pre-season, you'd imagine, the last week in June. So, you know, you're talking, you know, from the day they finished the league at Easter Road on the 17th of May, you know, they've got a month basically to get a new squad assembled, a new manager in place, and get them looking something like a team. And then they've got another month to then get themselves ready for those first Champions League qualifiers. So, listen, I think these are decisions that ideally I think would have already been made. You would know who the next manager was going to be. They'd have targets drawn up. I'm sure those conversations are already taking place. Obviously, with the takeover, my information is that it could be another month, 6 weeks before it's actually all wrapped up, just with the complexities of the deal. You know, will Barry Ferguson fancy his chances? He definitely does. He backs himself. He's just said as much in the press conference, but as I think you have been saying, it's not his decision. It's now down to Kevin Thelwell and the guys like Andrew Kavanagh and the 49ers. I've been asked that enough times. I think he had to do something remarkable when he came in. He's not been helped by the fact that this, I think as you've just been saying, this is a squad that are so bereft of belief in themselves, of self-confidence. That he was really always a loser because of that. They're just a squad that can't be trusted to play well one week to the next. So I'm not entirely sure we'll see him back. I don't think he's he said as much. He's getting the intention of being number 2 at MDL. So I think perhaps likelihood is you'll see him back in these seat in the plus sheets just to my left hand side here in the director's box next season in his ambassadorial role. So
Andy, obviously you've just been at the press. Am I right? Or am I making things up? I feel a change in his mood and the way that he's answering these questions. It almost feels to me as if he's had his meeting with Thelwell and he's almost been given an indication that there might be something there for him.
I was certainly bullish in the way that he addressed the time frame issue. He was certainly going to get a move on, basically. That's the way. That was my take from it. He was basically urging him to get it done and get it done quickly, because one way or another, whether it's him or somebody else, because
They need to start work.
Exactly. So